Today I'm so excited because I will bring you along as we prepare for Sukkot as an Orthodox Sephardic Jewish family. I will explain why we, as Orthodox Jews, live in a booth for a week every year for this holiday, as well as how we build this booth or sukkah. I will also share with you what are these 4 species or Arba Minim we carry around, why we shake them, and what they mean, what special dishes we eat during this holiday, how we dress, what activities we do during Sukkot, as well as 5 things you did not know we do on Sukkot as a Sephardic Orthodox Jewish family. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Sara Malka, and on my channel, I share all facets of my Orthodox Sephardic Jewish life as a full-time working mom with small kiddos. So please don't forget to leave this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Let me put on a pretty tichel, and let's jump into it. In the last 2 weeks, we went from 2 of the most known and celebrated Jewish holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, to now Sukkot, which is one of the least known Jewish festivals, even if all 3 are found in the Torah. The Torah refers to it by 2 names, Chag HaAsif, the festival of ingathering or harvest festival, and Chag HaSukkot, festival of booth, each expressing a reason for the holiday. The name Chag HaSukkot commemorates the temporary dwellings God made to shelter our ancestors on their way out of Egypt. Some say this refers to the miraculous clouds of glory that shielded us from the desert sun, while others say it refers to the tents in which they dwelled for their 40-year trek through the Sinai desert. However you call it, during Sukkot, we spend 7 days of the year in a vegetable-covered booth known as a Sukkah, and by taking the 4 kinds or species called Arba Minim, 4 special species of vegetation. And because we just talked about the Arba Minim, let me explain to you how we choose them and their meaning. To get the Arba Minim, my husband will go to a specialized Jewish store that only carries everything we need for Sukkot, whether the decorations, the schach or foliage cover, and the Arba Minim. Usually my husband will go and get his Etrog, which is like a special large lemon, shortly after Rosh Hashanah, because this is when the Etrog vendors have the best merchandise. And here is the time where you will see the first thing we do on Sukkot as an Orthodox Sephardic Jewish family. When my husband chooses his Etrog, he will look for specific characteristics. He will make sure that the Etrog is clean, which means that the Etrog has no defects or discoloration. He will look for a symmetrical shape as well. The ideal Etrog is somewhat oblong, not round like a ball. It is bumpy, not smooth. He will make sure that the pitum or stem is well attached. He looks at all these facets because an Etrog that is missing even an iota of its skin or missing its pitum or stem is invalid. So we're always very careful when we handle the Etrog to make sure we do not pierce the skin or remove the pitum. Every man and boy over 13 years old has to have his own Arba Minim. After quite a search, my husband picked this Etrog for him and the following one for our son. As you can see, the top or the crown is clean without black spots nor leaf marks and is lovely in color and shape, thank God. While my husband and son are presenting you their Etrogim, let me tell you a bit more about this first item of the Arba Minim. Each of the Arba Minim has a specific significance. For the Etrog, which has both a good taste and a good smell, it represents the person that excels both in Torah study as well as in good deeds. The beautiful Etrog also symbolizes our heart and our ongoing goal to have a good and beautiful heart to promote love and unity, but also the importance of having a pure and dedicated heart in the service of God. The second item of our Arba Minim is a Lulav or palm branch. The Lulav represents the spine and is a reminder of how we should lead our life. We must be upright in our dealings with others, firm in our convictions, as well as we should never bend or compromise our service to God. When my husband picks a lulav, he chooses the straightest one and he makes sure the tip in the middle of the lulav, that is also called the tiomet, is closed, as if it was to be open, it would be invalid. Aside from the tiomet and being straight, when choosing the lulav, my husband will take the freshest lulav that will be more green than yellow. The lulav, which has a sweet taste but no particular smell, represents the person who internalizes the knowledge or taste of the Torah, but is not recognized for his good deeds. Next, the Hadas or myrtle branch. The myrtle leaves resembling eyes must grow upright on their stems. This teaches us that we must always look up to God in heaven with optimism and not look down upon other people. The message implied by the requirement that the myrtle be taken in the hand is that one must learn to control his eyes and also to be happy with one's lot and not look with envy on other people's good fortune. The Hadas has a pleasant smell and no taste, which represents the one who is outstanding in his performance of good deeds, which positively affect one's environment, like a good smell, but lacks outstanding Torah knowledge. When my husband picks them, he makes sure the leaves are deep green and not wilted. Finally, my husband will look for the Aravah or willow branch, which represents our lips, and it is a reminder of how we should always speak with kindness and respect. The Aravah, which has no special smell nor taste, represents the person who does not excel in Torah nor in good deeds. Some people will take willows in the wild, but we always buy them from the special Sukkot Jewish store. Once they have all 4 species, they will prepare them. And this is where you will see the second thing we do differently as an Orthodox Sephardic Jewish family for Sukkot. As Sephardic Jews, we follow the custom of one of our sages, the Arizal. So they will bind together the Arba Minim in a specific way with these handmade loops made of palm leaves. They put the Lulav in the middle, then they put the Hadasim to its right and left and one in the middle. Then they put the Aravot on the left and right of the Lulav. They tie everything to the Lulav with 3 different rings, making sure there is no space between the species when they will be held in my husband and son's hands. You might be asking yourself, why is it so important that all the 4 species touch each other? It is because Jewish unity is one of the central themes of Sukkot. The 4 kinds we are holding symbolizes 4 types of Jews with different levels of Torah knowledge and observance. Bringing them together represents our unity as a nation despite our external differences. The set will be kept in this special case and will be brought every day to synagogue for the prayers except on Shabbat, when we do not use our Arba Minim. If you ever wondered how Sukkot looks like and sounds like at the Kotel or Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, this is what it looks like and sounds like. They have Beni Sukkot on the right and every man has its Arba Minim and everyone prays together. It is absolutely amazing. They also do Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohen, which is also absolutely magical because you have dozens of Kohanim blessing everyone who is present. The next item, which is at the heart of Sukkot, is obviously the Sukkah or booth. The Sukkah is a temporary dwelling we live in for 8 days of Sukkot outside of Israel and 7 days in Israel. One of the most common questions I get as an Orthodox Jew during Sukkot is why Orthodox Jews live in a booth for a week every year. Well, it is because by building the Sukkah, not only do we fulfill the commandment found in the Torah, but by living in it also shows our willingness to leave the security of our home and spend 8 days in less than optimal conditions to demonstrate our faith in God and our conviction that He is in control. The Sukkah is there to provide shade. That's why it must sit beneath the open sky, not under a patio deck or even the branches of a tree. The walls can be made of any material as long as they are secure and don't flap about in the wind. For us, we use plywood. My husband designed the Sukkah from A to Z, and it makes it so much more special. It is a series of walls secured to a beam, and the beam is itself secured to the floor and on the top with a crossbeam. Everyone participates in the building of the Sukkah as it is a commandment, so everyone helps at his or her own level. The roof, however, we call it Chag, must be of unprocessed materials which have grown from the ground. Bamboo poles, thin wooden slats, evergreen branches are popular choices. Whatever Chag we choose, we have to make sure the inside of the Sukkah will have more shade than sunlight. The other step we take, because we always want to beautify our mitzvot or commandments, is to decorate the Sukkah, and here is how ours look. We added blue drapes on the wall as it reminds us of the clouds of glory. We also decorate the Sukkah with artificial flowers and fruits. Our decorations are all plastified so they will survive rain and sometimes snow, because where we live during Sukkot can be the time when we experience the first flurries. We also add posters on the walls of our Sukkah. Each represent a scene or an event related to Sukkot, whether some sages with their Arba Minim, as well as Birkat Kohanim, like you saw previously. Another part of Sukkot that very little people know about is the daily visit of the Ushpizin, or guests, we receive. Each night we greet and host one of the forefathers. For us Sephardic Jews, we receive on the first night Avraham, then we will receive Yitzhak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and finally David on the seventh night. Our Ashkenazi brothers have a different order for their visitors. You might be asking yourself, why is connecting to the seven forefathers more easy during Sukkot? Well, it is because when we enter the temporary dwelling of the Sukkah, we are freeing ourselves from the dependence we developed on material comforts at home, technology, so on and so forth. Hence, we are now in a place when we are in the Sukkah in which our spiritual self is more revealed and accessible. In this context, the Ushpizin can more easily visit us and inspire us to strive to reach their level of perfection in their most representative midah or character trait like chesed or kindness, helping us to feed, nourish, and fortify our goals for our spiritual self for the year to come. Because it is a mitzvah to have guests on Sukkot, we always try to invite as many people as we can in our Sukkah. For some meals we're up to 20 guests, and it is quite tight but oh so joyful. On Sukkot, we make sure to serve scrumptious food, and we eat all our meals morning, afternoon, and night in the Sukkah. And here is the third thing. We do a little bit differently as a Sephardic Orthodox Jewish family, and that is the kind of meal we're going to serve on Sukkot. Some of the special meals we will have specifically on Sukkot are tongue, roast, and lamb chops. If you're wondering what happens if it rains, well, if it rains so hard that our plates are filled with water, we will of course eat inside. But if it's just a drizzle or it's a little bit cold outside, we will bundle up and still eat in the Sukkah, as eating in the Sukkah is always amazing and the children absolutely love it. We eat every meal with bread, and here you will find the fourth thing we do a little bit differently as a Sephardic Orthodox Jewish family, because our tradition is to continue to eat round challah, just like on Rosh Hashanah, as we continue to be judged for the upcoming year by God until Hoshana Rabbah, which is the last day of Sukkot. Here is another thing we do a little bit differently as a Sephardic Orthodox Jewish family, and that is to buy new clothes for Sukkot so we can be dressed with our finest clothing as the King of Kings is near and we are invited to his table for every meal of Sukkot. Contrary to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, where we wore white on these days as per our tradition, for Sukkot our tradition dictates us that we can wear whatever color we want. I have already made a video on what we wear as Orthodox Jewish women with a tour of a Jewish modest clothing store, as well as how we dress classy and modest, and I will leave the links for these two videos in the description box below and the link above so you can watch these videos after this one. And if you're curious, our Orthodox Sephardic Jewish men will wear their special suit and hat they only use for the Jewish holidays or Shabbat. Finally, the last thing we do on Sukkot as an Orthodox Sephardic Jewish family that you might not have known is that the 2 first days and the 2 last days of Sukkot are like Shabbat, and we apply almost the same rules as we do on Shabbat. We light candles before the holiday to usher in the holiday. We do not use the car. We do not turn on or off electric devices. But the days in between these 4 days during Sukkot are called Chol HaMoed, and on these days we can use the car, the electricity. Therefore, on Chol HaMoed, we do all kinds of activities for the children. We go apple picking, we go to the petting zoo, we also go in amusement parks. Everything for the children and us to spend time together, and for the children to associate happiness and pleasure with the celebration of every Jewish holidays, including Sukkot. I'm curious to know, what surprised you the most about Sukkot? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. And know that in my book, you create a safe space where I love to be. And if you're here until the end, please write in the comments, I love happiness. So I know I was not alone. And if nobody told you today, know that you are loved and you are enough just the way you are. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and don't forget to frum it up.
Like a bet in Greek fountains, or lay lazy in bed with your head on my chest.